in order to set my Behance and my portfolio up, what I did was I first went to adobe.com, of course, and I went to download Creative Cloud right up here, you know, desktop app. The workflow that I would suggest is get everything on your desktop that you ever wanted into your website, get them into nice, neat little folders, such as my art, my photographs, my sculptures, my videos, things like that. Once you get them into nice, neat little folders, nice and organized, and scour all your hard drives and get all your best stuff, you might want to purge out a little bit so that only your best stuff is in there. Then I recommend loading all your videos onto YouTube, because YouTube is a fantastic way to compress your files into a very easily streamable, flowable, fast running video that anyone can access pretty much anywhere in the world with no plugins or anything, right? And it's a very good generic embedding format. Once you get it into YouTube, then you will share it and hit Embed Code and get the embed code, as opposed to getting just a link to the video, which will probably work just fine too, but the embed code gives you a little more control. And then you come into your Behance and you put it into Behance, and you make different kinds of projects depending on what you want to show up over here. Try to keep it nice, neat, and organized, such as my photos, you know, my sculptures, like we mentioned. Get that looking as good as you can. It doesn't need to look perfect. It's just kind of a storage place. Then you hit My Portfolio and set that up. Maybe you have to pay for it, maybe not. It usually comes free with your Adobe Cloud subscription, which is pretty amazing. You can have up to 5 websites according to Adobe. I'm going to make another one pretty soon, and maybe I'll show you how to do that. Then you get everything populated into your portfolio and turn on and off whatever pages you do or do not want. Here's all my pages. A lot of them are turned off. If you're having trouble with integrations, you could come and see where all your web pages are coming from. It could come from Behance, Lightroom, Adobe Stock, or all of those. Then you can also check how everything in the website in my portfolio looks. You can make things bigger, smaller, change the fonts, change the colors, change the backgrounds, change the style. You can change the whole theme if you want. And then when you like it, you're feeling pretty good about it. If you want, you can buy yourself your own URL and get rid of the My Portfolio and make it a lot shorter and a little easier for people maybe to type in order to find you. At which point you're ready to roll. And you say update live site, boom, like that. Every change you've made will now be updated. I recommend doing them and bringing them in first into Behance so that the two are synchronized. Or at least go into Pages and send whatever you're doing in Portfolio back to Behance so that Behance is updated. Keep them in sync. What's in one will be in the other. One just has a little more style, and that's your portfolio. And that's generally what you want to share to get your jobs. And I actually kind of go up under here, under Behance profile, my little icon for Google, I think it is. And that opens up kind of all my projects. So, you know, it's pretty easy to add a banner image in. It tells you what size it wants it, which we can all do very easily in Photoshop. Not hard at all. Remove it, replace it. It doesn't need to be there, but it can be there. Mood boards I haven't used very much, but I think I will try to start using that more. Appreciations is just people that look at your work and give it a thumbs up. So I've had, you know, not too many views in here, but it does help me set up my portfolio. That's why I'm doing it. Insights, that gives you all the ideas about who's looking at what. Drafts is kind of interesting. If you bring things in and you're not actually using them, you can kind of have them in here and either keep them or not keep them. So there's some good things going on here in loading up projects. And it's basically, once you get it on here and you're logged in, every project you make, you know, you can add in or edit whatever you have here. So most of the stuff I'm making is coming right into my portfolio now. Whatever I put in here shows up in there. So these are all basically the web pages on my portfolio. So films has a couple subcategories to it. After Effects, everything I'm doing in After Effects, I stick in here. All of my kind of, this one here I could probably delete because I put it in other things. I want to reorganize this a little bit. Here's my Revelations, a novel I'm working on, but it's also a script. In fact, I should probably stick some script pieces in so people could see that it's a script, because it'd be neat if somebody actually bought my script and helped produce it. And there's just this big, huge, long scroll of all my tests and everything that I'm building up for my, so that kind of shows what it looks like. But if you actually want to edit it, let me see if there's something I can add to this. I'll go under here and hit edit. And it's very, very simple. Over here on the right are all the things you can bring in. I can bring in just an image. I can go and find any image on my, but I kind of want to do it, you know, where I really want it to be, which a lot of times you can, it'll go to the end and then you can move it around. I'll show you that. Let me show you that first here. So let me bring in, I'll embed a link here. So there's bringing in an image. You can just write text if you want to do it sort of like a blog. The photo grid is pretty neat. You can also add video and audio right in here. I haven't really put the video right in here. What I've done is put links to YouTube videos. So I'm trying to funnel everything to YouTube. So the first thing I do is I put something on YouTube. And do you guys know how to steal the embed code from YouTube? Let me look here and see if I can show you if you don't know how. I just go under here, I go to my channel, and I've started making playlists. Here's my automatically playing video about Creepy Clown, my novel that I'm trying to sell. So I scroll down here. The easiest way I've done it is to go, and this is the movie I put on yesterday. I put on one bug fix that I think people need. And I put on this advanced Premiere tutorial. It's the best way to do it is once you find your video, a lot of times I just click on it and then you hit share, and then you can copy this link, but it's not always the best way to do it because it doesn't really embed it very well. So a lot of times I'll do this embed right here and it gives you all the code. If you haven't done that before, and all you do is Control-C or whatever you do in Mac, you copy that. You can actually tell it to start later if there's a boring spot where you want to, you know, have it. Like, for example, if I'm really doing a portfolio, maybe I don't want to show me setting something up. I just want to get right to the best part of my video. I could start it at, 20 seconds so I can skip all the intro or something like that. And most of the defaults here are just fine, but that's what I do is I go under embed, copy it, or hit this copy button here. And now you have this nice little piece of code that has a particular size picked out. It has the link to the YouTube video. It has whether or not there's a border. Autoplay is usually off because people get annoyed and some search engines rank you worse if things automatically play. So usually autoplay is off. Some really simple code that goes into HTML on most websites. And you can even change how big the preview is. There's a lot of things. I could just go in and rewrite this. So now that I've got this code, I'm gonna jump back to Behance and I can tell it where I want it. Let me scroll down to the bottom. And I'll put it under here and I might even keep it, who knows. So see, like when you're in the editing mode, you can either look at it or you can edit it. And I'm in the editing mode because you see all these things, that's how you know. And then you've got the same buttons that I have up there on the right down here, ready to roll. And this is the one that is the symbol for embed. But you can also work in Lightroom if you're a photographer. A lot of people use that. So that's the benefit of Lightroom. Instead of actually putting the video on the website, I'm going to embed a YouTube code. So here we go. I'll click on that. It gives me this nice little thing where I just go Control V and paste that little bit of code that YouTube gave me. At which point I'll say embed. Boom. There it is. Done. Pretty easy, huh? Then it does have this option here, which I like. It says give it a little breathing room. So it's going to rewrite those numbers at 5, whatever, 26 wide or whatever. This will kind of rewrite it so it's a little bit smaller and a little bit more in keeping with some of the other videos up here. And on Behance, I don't really care too much how it looks, because once I get it into my portfolio website, that's where I can really tweak how big it is and how much space there is between this video and this video, stuff like that I can control. So with this, I'm pretty much ready to update my website. Before I go too far, let me show you guys my actual portfolio here. Let's see, I'm going to click here. And here's the name of my portfolio. It's vancemelon.myportfolio.com. Not bad. It's got my actual name in it. I changed it. They gave me like a name with a bunch of numbers in it, and you can change it up to 5 times according to Adobe portfolio. So you can change it to your name. I thought about doing Melonhead Productions or Melonhead.myportfolio.com, but sort of leaning away from that lately and just sort of making it more about me than about my company, because I'm putting my art in there, I'm putting my storytelling in there. It's very disjointed, as my wife says, but I like throwing everything in the kitchen sink in there, just because my whole point in life is to make art and show art more than anything else. That's what I love. So I'm just throwing everything in there, whether or not it makes any sense, you know? The other thing with this is you can actually buy for only $8. I can get rid of my portfolio. I don't know. I kind of like the idea that people can see this and know it's a portfolio. But I am tempted to just spend the $8. I'll have to change a lot of things I've linked to this, you know, like Facebook. I have vancemelon.myportfolio.com, and Facebook I'll have to get, you know, change the URL so that it can jump here, you know, instead of somewhere else, who knows where else. So I am contemplating that. $8 isn't bad, right? To have your own custom made URL, and it makes you look a little more professional. So they say it's really easy to buy too. A lot of times you buy them on different sites and you have to do all this crazy stuff to link it to your actual site. So here's how my site is starting to look. In a little while, I'll show you what it looks like on a phone, or you can just go look this up if you want on your phone while we're talking. But this is it. You know, I've got my After Effects animations here, and see how I've been able to resize everything so all the videos are about the same size. That looks pretty nice and organized. I've got little captions under each video, which I'm going to add in a second back in Behance. So it looks pretty good to me. I have this jump back button, which does not show up on my phone, and I can't figure out how to turn that on a phone. I don't know if it's even available, because usually people just swipe, you know. Down here I have little icons. They have tons of these ready to go, of like my Twitter feed, my Behance, which once you have the portfolio, I don't know why people would want to visit your Behance, but I don't know, maybe you put more stuff on there and just don't put it in your portfolio. I've got a link to LinkedIn. This is LinkedIn. I've got a link to Facebook, to Instagram, and this one here I think is TikTok, which is my new one I just started, having fun with that. And then probably most importantly, if I want people to jump to YouTube, it's right here. And then I have this thing set up where they can email me If you click on that, it goes automatically to whatever their email is on their computer that they've set up, and they can send me a message right here. So that's pretty cool, right? This is just as good as almost any website out there, and it only took me like a short time to make all this. So here's what the picture grid looks like. I put a picture grid in and I just loaded up every single GIF that I've made. And you can make them bigger or smaller. This one should probably be smaller because of the quality. I'm just having a good time making them. GIFs are really fun to make, and just see if you can spread them around the internet a little bit. So that's what the photo grid that I showed you looks like. I'll show you that again in a minute just to remind you. So here's my film and videos. This is one of those little animated GIFs, and I just think it looks really cool on my phone, so I'm keeping that. This one has the title. Whatever your title is here will show up here. And then it just has, once again, all my videos. I had to resize a few of them. This one here I should probably resize, right, to make them all match a little bit. These are a bunch of videos I've made in the last few years. Some of them, this one actually jumps to this guy's website where it has about 50 videos, 40 videos that I made for this guy. Here's one of his trailers that I made a video for. So films and videos, this is where that thing I just added in Behance will show up in a minute when I save it and update it, right? So we'll come back to this. So I also have Screenwriter on here. In Screenwriter, I kind of start with my best stuff first, like my claims to fames. Here's another photo grid. See how nice that looks? So easy. All I did was just load up the photos, and you can sort of grab them and drag them around until it looks nice. Here's something kind of weird. This is one weakness that I don't like about my portfolio in Adobe. You can put in Adobe PDFs, but you have to do it through another site. Kind of like when you buy your URL. If I wanted to change this to vancemelon.com and bought that $8 URL, you have to do it through a second site. I made it so you can click on it and see it as a JPEG. And I'm just putting a page on there for people to look through. And then there's this kind of nice little button here. You can just click and scroll through various pages. And it gives a sense of what my screenwriting looks like. It's a little clunky though, because then you have to find this X to close it. So it opens it up in a light box is what they call it, that kind of pops in close and lets you see it. I like having these pictures here, but I might also down here put a PDF, download PDF, and then it'll open up in a PDF and you can look at it. So I put pretty much anything and everything in here. Here's samples of all of them. This is like my first horror movie I ever made. So basically, I won't go through everything, but that gives you an idea of all the cool things you can put in this Adobe portfolio. And then here's one other thing that was really cool. You can actually just put MP3s in here. See that? So, it's really neat that you can put so many cool things in here so quick and easy. So I just put this in, I think it was under video or embedding, or, and wherever I had a piece of audio, MP3, I could just load it up here. This is for musicians. If your portfolio happens to have music you're making, you would want to stick this in here, right? So once again, I can jump up to the top. So that's probably like the only other thing that was unique in here. Lots of stills. Here's one other cool thing is this doesn't even go to anything in my site, but it opens up my YouTube channel. So it jumps here to my YouTube channel so that people can subscribe or look at other videos. So someone that's looking to hire me could jump here and see a whole bunch more stuff. And then that's when I also made all my playlists here. My best videos, ones with the most views. You can kind of like put your favorite movies in there too, and basically make your site a destination. So here's my playlists. So anyway, YouTube is really what I'm directing everyone towards. Now, every time I make a video, I post it to all my different social media. It only takes me a half hour, but then I can get it on Twitter. I can get it all over the place. So back to the portfolio. So that's one thing that's just a link that just goes to YouTube. And if you notice, it opens it up in a separate window. They're still forced to have my portfolio open. You can say open link in this window or open it in a second other window. And I recommend opening things in second other windows. That way they are forced to keep your website open and they don't lose track of you. So they have 2 tabs open and they can go back to your portfolio. That's something that's kind of important in terms of navigating through websites. So the last thing is, all my social media icons and this cool little contact button, which is different from mail. Mail goes to their mail. This one goes to an actual page here that has a cool little, you could put 20 things in here. You could put, give me your address, give me your LinkedIn, whatever. You could say, you have to follow me. You can do all sorts of cool things, but I made it really simple because I don't want to create any kind of bottleneck in them being able to reach out to me if they want to about something. Really cool and simple. This was actually hard to do a while ago, but this makes it very easy, very simple. The only thing that's not really efficient in here is e-commerce. If you want to sell something, you have to kind of really think it through. You have to probably have other embedded code. You would put maybe a link to your Etsy where you sell your stuff. You put links to, it'd be like links to other sites where they take credit cards, basically. I'd probably just have them linked to my Amazon where I'm selling records. That gives you an idea of what it's gonna look like. This gives you an idea of how to build it. So let's kind of go back into Behance again. I just want to make sure you guys understand Behance is where you kind of pile everything in. Number 1, get everything in YouTube, all your videos. Number 2, go into Behance and embed everything into Behance so that, because YouTube just plays things more efficiently. It puts really good compression on it. And that's where I'm trying to feed all my views anyway, right? I'm trying to feed everyone there anyway. So then you get everything into Behance and then you open it up in Portfolio, and Portfolio links to both of the other ones and everything shows up great. Basically what Adobe Portfolio is doing is it's stealing from Squarespace and all these guys. They're setting up a competitive bunch of ways to host your website, very simple, more for artists, more for video makers, more for people with portfolios, more for photographers, more for people that are making audio with Adobe Audition or stuff in After Effects, right? This is a little more artsy, I guess, or at least they're trying to be, and they're trying to steal business from all those other places. So they're trying to make it very easy and streamlined to make a website. Adobe used to have a software called Go Live, and I loved it. It was essentially you built your website with hardly any or no code at all. It was exactly like this, except a little harder. And then about 2 years ago, they discontinued it. They said, we're not going to support this anymore. And it really made me kind of mad because I couldn't figure out their logic. I was like, what? This is great software. I can design a whole website, upload it, tweak it all the time. Basically, everything that was in that software, which was called Go Live, is now right here and even easier to do. All like a one-stop solution. It's mostly just to show, hey, I know all this stuff. I can do anything. I can do After Effects. I can do audio. I can do, Adobe Audition, and I can do video. I can do After Effects. I can make a website. Look here, I can make this website. So it's just a really great way to show off your skills and pile them all into one place. I'm going to quickly show you now how to move it over into Portfolio from Behance. So the next thing, I've got my video embedded in here, right? I haven't really updated the project yet. This is where it'll actually load it up onto the Adobe Behance site. But before I do that, let me just really quickly, I'm going to click here and I can either reorder it, which see, I could just grab that video and move it up and save this order. I could say, the only thing I don't like is it doesn't give you like a name for it. That would be better, right? But you can grab this and move it up so you can change the order of things. You can also do that in Adobe Portfolio. So it may not be as important to do it here. You might just want to throw it in here as a storage place. But I'm going to cancel that for now. Otherwise, this would have moved up, right? I don't really necessarily want to do that for now. I'll leave it here. The other thing you can do is you can add a caption, which I'm going to do. You can edit the embed and tell it to be bigger or smaller. Let's just look at that now and see how big it is. So this is the height that it wants to be. It can be full screen if you click on it. So I can go in and rewrite that code by hand. So that's kind of cool. It gives you a little bit of flexibility on the HTML, or I can delete it. So let's add a caption. And a lot of times, once you add the caption, I can reorder it a little bit here too. I'm just going to say a tutorial I made to demonstrate more advanced concepts in Premiere Pro editing. I'm writing it nice and neat because I might actually want to use this. So one thing I've noticed is sometimes you got to click off of it and then roll over it, and then and it shows me that it's flush left. I've been centering my stuff. See how you can do that? So that's one thing you may want to do. All of my things are centered. See how that's showing up right there when I roll over it? So I've got it on Behance. I put my embed code in. I put a caption under there if I want it. The other thing I could, if there's lots of really cool pictures from this, I could then come down here underneath it, ready to go. I could add in a add photos, and then I could go and look for some photos here. I don't know. Oh yeah, they're there. Okay, so this is just an example, you know. This is a set I actually drew in Photoshop of all the parts and pieces we wanted to do for Seussical the musical. So see how easy it is to add a photo grid. And if I don't like it, I can go in and I can edit my grid. And I can say, you know, let's move this one over here. This doesn't make any difference, right? Because all the pictures are the same. I need pictures. And if they're all different sizes, it kind of resizes them in cool ways and it just makes it look nice. Custom. So this could be like in alphabetical order. I can add more photos. Let's add just a few more photos here. They could be from Lightroom. Here's a bunch of pictures from my screenplays. You know, let me just add in 3 of these real quick. So this is pretty easy. It's taking a second to update. If it crashes, I'll reopen it. So now it's starting to look like that. See, that looks kind of nice. Let me grab this one and drag it to the end here. I don't think yeah, I can do it. It just let me do it because I'm doing editing grid, right? Look at that, that's kind of nice. I'll get rid of this one because it's sort of redundant. So it's great, it resizes it for you. You can go in and tweak it a little easier if you want. That's it. Then you say done. And then now I have this, and if these pictures are actually related to it, it'd be kind of cool. I'd have like a nice little photo grid down here. I tend to go under here and say add caption when I'm done, all right? But you can add a little caption in down here and say, these are pictures from that video. For now, I'm gonna delete this though, because I don't want this, right? I'm gonna delete this grid, done. I like it, it's looking good. I'm gonna hit update project, boom. Now it doesn't take very long. It's actually uploading the embed code. It's not actually uploading the real video, right? It's an uploading code that jumps to a linked piece of YouTube. So if I actually play this, let's see if it works. Right up front, I'm opening my project. So it's showing my YouTube video right here in this cool little box, embedded. Doesn't take hardly any memory, keeps your website really dinky and small, helps things load quickly. There's a lot of great benefits to doing the links as opposed to sticking your videos right in here. So Behance, I'm done with that. So I'm gonna leave it open because I might want to jump back and forth a little bit. Let's now jump to my portfolio. Look at this nice handy little button right here, Edit Adobe Portfolio. If you don't have it set up, it's gonna say, do you want to create one? So let's do Edit Adobe Portfolio. Click on that, and here is my site. And I can either look at it and just kind of say, oh, this is cool looking, and it loads up. And this is actually ready to edit. It knows I want to edit it, so that's kind of cool. You know, I've got this, I'm ready to edit this, but let me just show you ways to make a few new things really quick. So you can have up to 5 sites. So I'm going to make one for my wife next week. All right, so I'm going to click new site, And check this out. This is really cool. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 9 customizable websites ready to go. So what you do is you kind of look at them, keeping in mind that every single thing here pretty much can be changed. I think I based mine off of this. Can you see I think the reason I chose this one is I really liked how videos were in it. So let me choose another one really quick. And the other thing is you can jump around. Even after you work on your site, you can change it to another site really quick and see how it looks. So let's see how this is more for photographs. I don't know if I like that one so much. This one looks like it'd be good for videos. So let's start with this, Ludwig. So now I'm making a new site and I can look at it in desktop, or I can look at it how it looks on your iPad, or I can look at it how it looks on a phone. See how it resizes everything? Everything that you make on the website is now dynamic. It can change size based on what kind of device people are looking at. So it has social media icons up here. All this can be changed. So if you like it and you want to use this theme, so I dig it. I say, okay, I like this. I'm going to use this theme for my new website, maybe for my wife's website. It'll be a draft and I can either choose to upload it or not. So look at that. It already has done tons of stuff for me. Isn't that amazing? So it's got my name up here and I can actually change that and put my little face logo on there or whatever. And it's all context sensitive. So you click on something and then over here, everything shows up. So let's change this Vance Mellon's art. All right. And then as soon as I say enter, wow, look, it's already updated over here. But you can also work on all the different pages. You can also work on site-wide stuff. Site-wide means it's going to affect every single page. So I don't like the black. I can go for a lighter theme. Look at that already. It just reversed everything for me. I don't like this font. Let's pretend. So let's turn it to grotesque. If you want, you can put a picture back here. And you can fix the picture on the page so it's underneath all this stuff. You can also repeat it or tile it so that it like does it and then it does it again and it does it again and it does it again. That's what tiling means. And you can kind of tell it to be big or small or fit or whatever you want. So anyway, I'm looking at kind of background colors and all that. Let me jump back out to the main kind of navigation here of what I can add. So it's brought in, if you look under pages, it's showing, remember in Behance, all those different kind of like projects I had going? Behance, see all these projects? I have like, how many do I have? 8 of them. So once I opened up my Adobe portfolio and started populating it with all that stuff, this is my draft, this is my real one, this is my draft. Here they all are. So like, maybe I don't want films by Melonhead. Usually you have to do it kind of, there's this little cog for settings. So let's edit page title, films, I'll just call it films, keep it simple. This is how I changed it so it would go to YouTube instead of Behance, right? I can also duplicate this page if I like where it is, but I want to play with it and do more stuff. Adding a password, if you only want certain people to see it and you want to give them a password, that's kind of cool. So anyway, there's things you can do with all these pages. Probably the most important thing to me is I've got a copy of films. I don't really want that to show up. So I am going to turn that off. I'm going to turn off Shunned Barn because that's already in another one. I really need to move some of the things around in Behance. I'm going to leave Revelations on, screenwriting on, live storytelling on. I'm going to turn off Creepy Clown because I know this next person that's coming to look at my site will probably hire me if I don't have terrifying clowns because they have chlorophobia or something like that. I don't want them to see me making fun of Trump, so I can turn that off. So anyway, now I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. And do I want them to contact me? Yes or no? Well, let's look and see. You know, I don't like contact, so I'll say contact me, please. I'm begging you. So that didn't work because I was clicking on it as opposed to using this cog, see? So you got to kind of dig into it a little bit to make it work. contact me, please. Enter this time. Turned green for a second, updated it. Now if I look at this page, so those are some of the things you can change. Pretty easy. That's kind of like getting your pages set up. Now the hard part is, let's go back to Behance just for a second. If you do something deep within one of these, like maybe I add a few more GIFs, sometimes it won't update very well, I've noticed. So a lot of times you have to go in here and you have to say integrations is where you update things a bit. Like if something's not communicating between Behance and Adobe Portfolio, you might have to click on integrations. So let me show you that. First, I want to make sure I covered all this. All this is looking good, right?
Yeah.
So contact me, please. Let's just jump on that and see what we can change. And then we'll go back, do that other thing. So here's the things: your name, your email, your message, submit. Let's see what else. There's a page container here. That's kind of nice. So let's edit it. I'm going to click on it. And these are the things that I can change. I can change its size. I can change whether there's margins around it. Pretty much everything you do will have these things, okay? So get used to these. Maximum width, I don't really use that too much, but if you want to control it and make it small for phones, so it's always set for phones, you can control that. Right now I've got it centered, which I like. Sometimes you can give it more space, you know, space it out a little bit. Kind of like, what do they call that? Leading when you're doing your design, right? And then if you like it, you just say, looking good. I can even preview it here. So it's nice little setups for each kind. Here's if you turn your phone sideways. So that's really a pretty amazing thing that you can make basically 7 or 8 iterations of your website. Okay, so now, so we've talked about pages. I've got all these pages set up. I'm gonna go back out. Now let's talk about integrations. Integrations is kind of where you want the stuff to come in from Behance, or you can bring it in from other places. If you have a couple of things, like if I put my wife's stuff in there, I can change it over to Kim's stuff. I'm definitely integrating with Behance. If I turn this off, it's going to say, you sure you want to do that? You're going to lose all the stuff you've already brought in, and you can redo it, but it's going to be a drag. I'm going to cancel it, right? The other thing you can integrate is Lightroom. So I haven't tried that yet, but if I have like tons of photos in there and all different files, folders, and categories, I can bring in all my photos. And also Lightroom can organize videos too and stuff like that. It's not just photos. So it's very similar. You can either use Behance or Lightroom. All right. Also, you can bring in stuff from Adobe stock, it looks like. If I have collections, like here's a bunch of my photos that I've uploaded to Adobe stock. These ones are for free. These ones are for sale. And if this is a really good spot, that if you're finding that it's not linking up properly, sometimes I turn it off and turn it back on and it relinks things, which means you have to keep it nice and organized in Behance. And there's other ways to relink it that I'll show you in a minute too. But this is just all the stuff coming in, how it's linking up. Themes. These are our themes again. Which one am I using? I'm using this one. But let's look at it and see what it looks like on this real quick. So I click on it. It takes the site I've been working on and makes it just like my site now, you know, and then I can be like, you know, I don't really like that theme. Let me go back to the old theme that I had before, and you can change it back. All right. And it's still white. It's still remembering the changes I made, which is kind of cool, huh? All right. So don't be afraid to, I was all scared that it would like totally screw up everything I did if I like changed the look of it. I was like, oh no, do I really want to risk this? But instead you can preview it. You don't have to say use this thing. Here's another version of my website. I could be like, oh, I like this. Oh yeah, oh, that's cool. I like that. So that's a way you can kind of try different kinds of looks out when you're doing your actual portfolio here. Where's my one that I was using? It was this one, right? Okay. All right, so try them out. Don't be afraid of trying out their nice little themes. Let's look under settings and see what's under here. This is really cool. Here's all the different things that make it a little deeper. This is kind of like the advanced stuff, right? So you can change what your home page is. Right now it's under work. I should probably change it to something like films, homepage, films, all right? And page not found, if there's, for some reason, something doesn't work, you can say, go to films, just go to films. If something doesn't work, go to films, all right? So it gives you a little direction up here. Analytics, this is really fun. I've got a Google Ads account. They call it a couple different things nowadays, but I used to call it Google Ads. So what you do is you go under Google and you say, I am an official business. You try to put yourself on the Google Maps. You put your official name on there. You claim your business through Google. You prove that that's your business by kind of like giving them an address and giving them your URL for websites, stuff like that. They say, oh yeah, Vance looks legit. Mellingham Productions looks legit. And they give you this kind of tracking number and let you go into Adwords, they call it. And well, they still call it, it's called Google Ads now, because of course Google bought it, right? And then they give you this little tracking number and you put it here, and it's really cool because you can go to your Google Analytics, they call it, and you can see how many people have gone to my website. I could show you what countries they're from. I could show you whether they speak English. I could show you whether they're up to age 14 or up to age 20 or up to age 40 or 50. I can show you how long they stay on my website, if they click deeper in, or if they just stay on the first page and click out. All that stuff you can learn through Google Analytics once you put your little code right here. And what happens is you're infinitely more employable, because people that can make internet web videos, whatever, and get them all on social media, they want to make sure you know how to do this stuff. The other thing you can do is you can say, once you get that all set up, you can go into Google AdWords and you can say, all right, anytime someone in this area around Las Vegas searches for video production or video director or video editing, I'm willing to pay $1 for them to click on my site first. And then the more you pay, the higher you go on search engines. And the more they click, the higher you go on search engines. And then finally you become the most famous guy in Las Vegas because you're paying, maybe 30, 50 bucks a month to promote your business. And it's worth it if you get, a $4,000 contract to make a video, right? It's a lot to learn, but it's very doable. All right, so next category here, search optimization. See, on my website, I would now put in video production. You could put in Vance Melonhead production. So these are basically words that are going to be burned into the deeper parts. And down here too, this is actually where the word should go. Sorry, I got to kind of mess up. This would be like a description of the page. Vance Melon videos. Here I show my blah, blah, blah. So you can write a little description. And then if someone's searching for Vance Melon videos, that would probably come up faster on a search engine. You definitely want to allow search engines to find your stuff. And then this is good too, to just automatically submit things so that basically there's all these bots that search the internet constantly looking for new websites and new keywords. They file them away, they organize them. It's really good to put accurate stuff on there. Like, you don't really want to put porn on here if you don't have any porn. You don't want to put it on there unless you really have it, or else you start ranking yourself lower on search engines because you're not giving people what they're really looking for, and they click off of it. They're like, this isn't porn. They click off of it. Okay. All right. So this is how you optimize your website. And this is what you would do with really, really complicated web design software. It's just kind of laid out here in a very nice, easy, simple way. Custom meta tags. Once again, you can just add in cooler meta tags. Maybe you have like, you can basically, it's sort of like Google AdWords, where you can put quotes around something and then they have to search for that exact phrase, or you put brackets around it and they have to search for those words, but not necessarily in those order. All right, that's all kind of HTML type stuff. All right, Favicon is really cute. What you do is you find a little image that you like and you upload it. This probably won't work because it's going to be too big. Let's see. It's supposed to be really small. See, it doesn't like the sign. It doesn't like the type of file, actually. So it's giving me nice little warnings, but this is that little tiny square that's up here when you go to the website. That's this little thing right here. See these little tiny icons right here? So you can make your own. Let me just show you what mine looks like really quick. Advanced Melon Portfolio. See my little icon right here? It's called a favicon. It's your favorite icon. That's how you remember it. So it should show up right here in a second. It's loading it up while it's loading the page. So look at that. That's kind of cute, right? So I made a 32 by 32 little tiny square, and then I was able to upload that into my portfolio here, right here. Social sharing thumbnail. This is kind of cool. You can change these. See on my portfolio, I have these little icons for social media. If I don't like these, I can change them. I can make them look square. I can make them very colorful. You can go online and say download icons, and they'll have a huge set of these that you can just download. So if you like your own look to that, you can upload all those here, and it's really cool. You'll see like Twitter has a certain look, Facebook has a certain look. Site options. I like to protect my images so people can't steal them. Doesn't really matter. They can still take screenshots and stuff, right? But anyway, adds a little extra security. If you hover over something, does it change? If you change pages, does it do a fade or something? A lot of nice little things you can change. Lightbox, that's if you click on something, will it open up kind of like my screen pages did and take over, and then you can kind of click through them. You can make them sort of see-through or all the way see-through. Password protection is if you want to protect so that people can't find it unless they have a password. Cookie banner, this would be, some countries require you to put a banner that says, I use cookies. Are you okay with that? If not, leave. So that's what this is. It puts a little cookie banner. It says, I use cookies. Depending on your region, you might want to put it here. It says, don't sue me. I use cookies. I'm letting you know. And sometimes they have to accept it or else they click away, which is kind of a drag. So I don't tend to use this very often. If you're trying all these different styles and themes out and you're not sure if you like it or whatever, you can, go back in time. Basically, it's kind of like a history. Site is unpublished. Okay, so this is if you are paying for Adobe Behance and Adobe Portfolio and you need to pay, you haven't paid, and you need to change your credit card. That's all that is. So that's everything you can do under the settings. So let me say done. So every change I've made should be locked in. That was all under this tab right here, settings. So I did update my Behance, right? So let me go under pages and just make sure that under films, that last video I added is there with its caption. Let's see. Here it is, a tutorial I made to demonstrate more advanced concepts in Premiere Pro. All right, so that's showing up. That's kind of cool. Let me look at my real website. If things aren't showing up the way you want, you have to hit this reload or refresh button. Nope, so I need to figure out why that's not showing up. Let me see if I can do that real quick here. I'm not in an editing mode on this, so I'll come back to that in a minute. Same thing with when I'm working on my portfolio. If I make a change, I have to update it. So let's see, under pages, I'm going to go under settings for this page, and I'm going to update or re-import from Behance. See that right there? So once I re-import from Behance, that film and video page should update, and that last video I added in Behance will appear on the bottom here. Hopefully it won't mess up anything else I brought in. So I don't really bring anything directly into my portfolio. I do everything in Behance and then update it in here. Otherwise they start to go out of sync. They don't jive. So I'm going to re-import it from Behance, back to editor, and then I'm going to see if it shows up. Oh, yep, it's refreshing. Let's go down to the bottom and see if that new video showed up. There it is with my nice little thing. So this is actually ready to go live. This is my website. It's not live yet. Let's hit update live site. And now it's uploading it to the internet. You know, it's already on the internet. It's in the cloud, but people can't see it yet. So it is updating it. So in a second, I'm going to go. So then I can say, well, let's go view it then. Or I can go back to editing. For now, I'm going to go back to editing here, but I'm going to actually look at my website on this tab. And I'm going to scroll down. It's not there yet, so let me hit refresh. See if it shows up. There it is, boom. So now I've checked it. I know that it's actually live, and if anyone in the world goes on my website, it will show up. So once again, the logic is put it on YouTube, steal the embed code, come into Behance by clicking on this and editing this, or wherever you want it. Gives you all the things you can do in Behance here. Come down on the bottom, you know, come down here, say I want to add in a embed code or something from Lightroom, or I just want to burn the video right here on the website and hog up a lot of space, which is not very efficient, or add pictures or text or one picture, which I can then kind of organize a little better. So let's do embed, paste it in there, which is wrong, but that's the basic idea. And then you'll have it embedded, and then you update it. And when you update it, then you go back into the portfolio, which is a second website, because it's a little different from Behance. And then you go into your pages, and sometimes you have to go under the page and tell it to update from Behance. And once you update it, then it's going to show up on your portfolio, but it's still not really published until you hit publish site. So that's quite a lot of steps, right? But if you start out getting your stuff on YouTube and getting your stuff in a nice, neat little folder on your desktop, just accumulate everything, gather everything together. That's the main thing. Then you're set. You bring it all into Behance. Don't tweak it too much there. Just make it look okay. Because in here is where I can do more stuff. You know, this is my portfolio, right? Make sure I'm on the right thing. There's things I can do with this. I can see here, it's, once again, sometimes it's a little hard to find this, but now I'm getting it. So click on it, and I can change the content of this page by just dragging these things around, which probably will get better in time. And I can change the caption that's in here. So whatever I did in Behance could still be edited, however you say that. This is the one thing that's kind of important in Adobe Portfolio. The final thing I usually do is just make everything look nice. I go to this, and you know, this just controls this one box. I can say, you know, maybe I want this video to be smaller. You know, maybe I don't want it to be too big. Maybe I want to align it on the left side or center or whatever. Maybe I want a little more space. I actually do want a little more space between the video above and this video. I have a certain number set. Let me see if I can find it. I'm going to go under embed here, and I'm going to look at width, alignment, and margins. Below 40%. So there's 40% between this video and that video, or 40 pixels, or whatever you want to call it. So you may need to edit your spacing a little bit. Back to this. See how each one, you have to work on each one separately. This is not like a global thing that affects the whole website. So above, I could put this at 40. Then I know it's kind of consistent. Site-wide, we've changed the background color. Site-wide, you can change the whole containers, like give yourself more space around it. I happen to like having a logo in here. So you can turn on logo, and that's my, you know, you can add a little logo in pretty easily, and then you can change the logo. You can change the navigation if you want. You can have, there's just a lot of fun things you can change here. You can have Titles, like see this title right here, I can turn that off. It'll disappear. Actually, that's in the contact page, so it's not. Here's the title, collection titles, things like that. You can turn off links, turn off social icons. So all this stuff can be on or off. See all the things you can add or take away. All right, so play with that a little bit. Footer. Footer is like if you want your social icons to show up on the bottom. That's down here. That's for the whole website. We've done all this, editing page info, giving a description of the page, putting a date on it if you want. There's just all these different things you can add. None of them are super critical, but they can help people find you better. More in this collection. You can also put this button on. It says you want to see more cool stuff. Back to top button, that's this button here. I can turn that off if I want. There we go. Those are all the cool things you can do. The main thing I wanted you guys to see is how to set up Behance, how to get it into a portfolio. You can add another page right here in portfolio instead of doing it in Behance and bringing it in. So you could do that, but I don't recommend it because I think Behance is better at sort of gathering all your stuff, and it loads it up very nicely into your portfolio. Start simple and work towards adding more and more stuff as you go. Basically, just get stuff in there, publish it so people can find it. And then I look at it every other day and I'm just like, you know, I don't like these icons. These icons look really stupid. I'm going to swap them out for some really cool looking icons. And then I'll go and work on that. And then all of that, it's just really good for future employment. Get them in, get them organized. And once you get everything in here in these nice little projects, talk to you later. I just wanted to run down this stuff real quick. So pages, we've already talked about. This is whether or not you want something in Behance to show up. And if you're not liking how it looks, you can change some of these aspects of it, such as the title, where it goes on the URL. You can update it in Behance, which means you send everything from Portfolio back to Behance, or you can re-import Behance if something's not showing up right, or you added something to one of your projects in Behance. It will re-import it into Adobe Portfolio and it'll update it better for you. So that's how you update things when they're not working. With that, let's go back to our main stuff here. And we've talked about themes, integrations is whether you want to use Behance or Lightroom. Settings, we've talked about all these cool settings. That was kind of the more complicated stuff. Site-wide, this is stuff you can do all over your site. If you don't like something in your site, you can change it. You can make a sort of a dark theme, or you can make a light theme. There's a lot of different things you can do. You can change the fonts. It's always good to have one or two fonts at the most. I used to use way too many until I learned that it's not really good design principle. You can have a background. You can also come in here and you can edit the container of the whole website. In other words, you can give yourselves a little more margins on the whole entire website. Remember, this is site-wide. Layout options, you can change whether you want the navigation column on the left or on the right. See that, how it changed? You can also have gutters, meaning little spaces around them, and how big you want it. I liked all this setup here. You just tweak those and play with them until you like them. After you've done your container, which is how things are generally set up, the navigation over here, you can then go into styles. In other words, styles are site-wide over your whole site. How do you want headers to look? Headers are like these big kind of like categories here of content inside of your site. Subheaders are a little smaller. They're kind of like, the indented portion of an outline that you're making for a project. So subheaders are a little smaller. Paragraphs is just big long things you might write like in a blog. Captions are these captions under here. How do you want them to look? Well, if you click on it, you can change both the font, kind of the margins and the size around it. So this basically sets it up for the whole site. So every time you have a caption, they look the same, or every time you have a video, they'll look the same. You can change the fonts if you want. You know, I could change this from 9.9 whatever. I could change it to red or something like that, which might look kind of cool. Margins and width, that's pretty obvious. Change on your captions, you can change how much width is around different things. Oh, here's an undo here. All right, good. So I'm going to undo that. So those are all ways that you can control how your website looks. More control, the better, but too much control can be overwhelming. For globally, you can, for the whole site, you can set up some of these interesting things here. Like I have this cool little animated GIF logo. If I turn it off, it disappears. If I want to have a caption on there, welcome to my portfolio, I can have that on or off. That's for just this logo right here. Navigation, you can have page titles show up. That's this title right here. Let me turn that off. Gone. No, it's not gone. Here it is right here. Page titles. I want my page titles to show up in navigation, right? That's what this is, navigation. Let me scroll down a little bit. Do I want my collection titles to show up? Yes, that's like sub things, like under animations, I could have, you know, GIFs or whatever. I could have subcategories if there were some. In Behance, they would show up, but I don't have any of those. So I could probably turn that off. Links. Do I want links to other things such as YouTube channel? Yes, I do. See how that just disappeared? I'm linking to my YouTube channel and it shows up in a new window so that it does not take over my website and they can't find me anymore. Do I want social icons in this navigation? Yes or no? I'm going to turn them off. They're gone. Now I'll turn them back on. They're there. Okay, so those are all some really cool things you can do. Footer is what's at the bottom of your website. So if I go down here, here's what's at the bottom. How to buy Adobe Portfolio would disappear if I bought my own URL, like vancemelon.com and got rid of my portfolio. This disappears if you pay $8. So that's kind of interesting. Footer, at least I think it does. That's how most websites work. Social icons, turn them off, turn them on. See down here? Turn them off, turn them on, boom. All right, so those are some more things you can do. Then you can get into this page, so I can actually look at things on this page. And this can be overridden by those global settings or not, depending on what you want to do here. So if I want the page title, which is up here again, I can turn it off or on, off, on. Page description, I like that because it tells them what they're going to look at. I can even put the page date on there. See that, 2/16. It's when that stuff was mostly made, I guess. Custom fields, you can add your own field in too. Descriptions, whatever you want. Custom field number 2. So that's nice. A lot of things you can add in here just on this page is what it's called, right? Back to top button, that's down here. Let me scroll down. See this cool button here, back to top. If I turn that on or off, it will disappear or show up depending on what I choose. Here it is. I like having that on. It doesn't work on my phone. I guess the phone, people just finger scroll through it, so they don't need it, right? Talked about that a second ago. So that's about it for things you can change on the page. Then this is all what they call context sensitive, right? So if you want to, you can also change each item, and we've talked about that a lot already. There's a lot of things you can do here, reordering the whole page, adding a caption, changing how wide it is, changing how it's embedded in here. If you want to change something about that with the HTML, you can do that too. Cascading style sheets is basically the dynamic side of all these web pages, so that when you do a preview, you can look at it as either a computer monitor looks, or you can look at it as a phone looks, and it'll change each time. There it is. So this is what my website would look like on my computer. This is what it would look like on a certain kind of phone. This is on a phone turned sideways, you know, another kind of phone. And, you know, there's in there somewhere is probably different kinds of tablets, things like that. That's probably what this one is. All right. So it gives you a sense of what they will look like once you bring them in, and then you can go back in and tweak the spacing and whether or not these are smaller or bigger, things like that. Okay, one more important thing you can do with these videos is adding captions, as we've already mentioned. But once you do have a caption in here, there's more to it than just this little drop down here where you can move things up and down. You can change the alignment or just double click the title or whatever you want to double click. And look here, you have all these nice text formatting tools that you can use. For example, you can change it from whether you want it to be a paragraph, maybe a subheader or a header. That's basically kind of like a big headline, you know, an indented, smaller headline, paragraph, which could be more like a blog, caption, which is what I have here usually. Captions just kind of fit nicely under your picture or under your video. And you can edit the text styles, which are kind of how all these are set up. So every time you bring something in, they are consistent. So the other thing that you can do here is you can change the font, but I don't recommend having too many fonts. That's a mistake I used to make when I was kind of a younger designer. I put all sorts of fonts in there. Change the size, do whatever you want, just keep it consistent. Be better to change that over in the styles back over here so that it's consistent. Here's kind of the space between things, the line height, how big you want the, you know, spaces between. See that right there? That's called leading. So select everything by triple clicking, change this to 24, which will give us nice spaces in between all of our text. See that? Looks a little better. Okay, some other things you can do is you can underline it. Sometimes you can bold it if it's not a style you've already set up over here, like I mentioned before. Sometimes you can italicize it or underline it. This is kind of nice. You can change it back and forth between capitals and lowercase. I always love that. You can also, if you don't want it centered, you can align it left, you can align it right. I prefer centered for my website so far. Here's where you can actually put a link in, which is awesome. That's the best thing that I really wanted to show here. So let me click off of this. Let me select just this thing here, and I'll make a real quick link. And then when you're done, if you don't like the link, you can undo it. So the other thing you could do is removing the format, which basically gets rid of any special formatting you have. It's kind of a good way to zero things out. But let's put a link in. This is awesome. You hit link, and then you find an external link or a page within your site, or you can jump to a little later in your site. Those are called anchors and things like that. But primarily, I want to use this for an external URL. Let's just say I'm going to jump this to my YouTube channels. So I am going to go Control A, Control C, which is Windows, of course. I am going to go back into Adobe Portfolio, and I'm going to paste it right here. Paste. I prefer to open that site in another tab, so it'll show up here like this. If it doesn't, it's kind of bad. It takes over your site, and next thing you know, they can't really find your site anymore, and they get down a rabbit hole of looking at YouTube or something else. So I recommend opening most of those links in another tab, unless it's your own website or your own stuff, and you're keeping them contained. Don't let them get away if you can help it. All right, that's it. So once I hit that and click off of it, you can see that it's underlined. And if we open this link in a new tab, then it shows up here. It's pretty awesome. So this is all really fantastic to be able to make a really cool website like this. I hope you will enjoy this. I hope you will constantly update your website because it's so easy. It's really fun. It's really exciting to make a website. And I hope this video helps.